One of the other big things, so we saw where we store the licenses, we've seen the dashboard. The other big thing is the attachments. Well, you know, hey, if I get a purchase order from whoever I buy my Adobe products from or whatever it may be, I want to be able to have like a one-stop shop where all of this stuff is at. Well, the one thing that you can do is go in here, you can attach that purchase order so you can match your licenses up with your purchase order back to where everything is installed. So we get that full closed loop of, hey, here's where everything's at. So if an auditor comes in and says, hey, talk to me about Adobe Photoshop, okay, no problem. We know where it's installed. We know about how many licenses we own, and then, hey, over here is a purchase order. Here's the purchase order from you, Mr. Adobe Auditor. And, you know, hey, it looks like everything's in tune with this particular piece of software. So it makes it really easy. So one of the things that I did talk about is you have the ability to set up when you want to get notified. So we set the license up. Well, when do we want to be notified? So before my software expires, how many days out do I want to get a notification? That way we can go check, see if we're over or underusing, you know, start to get some money savings in here because we're going to probably go out and we're going to probably free up a bunch of licenses that aren't being used. If I'm underutilizing the product, what's that threshold going to be for me? Maybe it's 60%. I mean, it's going to be different for different companies. But if we're underutilizing, I want to be notified about that as well, because that's a big problem. If we bought 1,000 copies of a piece of software and we find out that, you know, less than 600 of them are in use, that's a problem. And then finally, if we're about to exceed a license count, you know, do we want it at 85? Do we want it at 90? I guess how long? In worst case scenario, if we have to go purchase more licenses and we know that 500 more people are going to be starting next week, how long is it going to take us to purchase those additional licenses? So you'll set that threshold accordingly. So maybe it's at 80% that you want to get a notification. But it's all there, you know, right within the console to be able to set all of these things up. One of the other great things that you can do that you know, with the software license management product is you have the ability, and we won't walk through this because you've already seen it, is I've got the ability to go in and block applications. So we can set up a prohibited applications list. So file sharing applications, that's something that could get your company in a lot of trouble if your end users are using it. So make sure that we create a list that blocks LimeWire and products like that from being accessed, or just software that's not allowed to be run in your environment. They'll set up the prohibited applications list and block those applications. Your end users are going to get a notification that you're going to set up that says, hey, sorry, you can't use this piece of software. And then you have the ability to set up protected applications. So say there's an application and it's usually the ones where they think it's Big Brother's watching us, so then users will go in and they'll delete files, they'll do something to sabotage the product. We have the ability to set up protected applications as well that says, hey, well, if somebody goes and messes around with this, we'll just put it back at the state that it was in, so that application is going to be there, it's going to be fully running. So you've got some other capabilities that go along with the software license management. So that's the software license management. I just saw my clock. We're getting close on time, so I'll kind of show you a few of the other things within the product. What we mentioned before is the operating system deployment software. And the great thing about this, for those of you that ever have done imaging at all, we do hardware-independent imaging in this product. The only thing that you would have to do is create 2 gold images, 1 gold image for your 32-bit devices, 1 for your 64-bit devices, or if you've got all 64-bit, it's just all 1 image. And the only thing that you have to do is manage a driver library. And what I mean by manage a driver library is you right-click, you say scan a directory, and browse where that directory is at that your drivers live in, and it goes in and it consumes and it pulls those into the system, and then it breaks them out. It says, all right, what network cards do I have? What hard drive controllers do I have? What video controllers? So we pull all of that, tell you what kind of driver it is. If you're trying to pull one in that's already been used, it's just going to bypass it. But that's the only thing that you have to do. And then like what you saw before, this is all wizard driven. So what do I want to do? I want to walk through, I want to capture an image. What do I want to name it? What's the architecture? All of those types of things. And it's a next finish type of scenario. So those of you that have used Microsoft Deployment Server, you know that there's scripting involved in injecting your drivers, and the biggest pain in the neck when it comes to imaging is your drivers. We handle all of that for you. All you do is point at the driver pack that your vendor provided, pull it into the system, and you're really ready to go. So you're going to capture your image. Same thing when you go to deploy your image. Instead of selecting capture an image, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to now deploy an image, next, finish. As soon as you've built that, you're going to set up a Pixie menu. So we do Pixie booting with this product that says, hey, devices that are on 192.168, whatever it is. If you've got a workbench that you Pixie boot your machines from to deploy the image, you're going to set that up accordingly. Pick the image that you want to deploy, and we can have this kick off to where the first thing it does is it grabs the profile from the machine. The next thing it does is it lays down this new image on the machine, and then finally the last thing it does is it puts that profile back on the machine. So really, your end users aren't experiencing a total shock of, oh, what just happened? I've lost everything. I don't have my documents. I don't have the picture of the fish. I don't have my type forwarding in Outlook anymore. All that stuff we're going to save all of those things and put it back. But really, the favor that you're doing for yourselves is getting away from the Windows XP machines that aren't going to be supported anymore. So, extremely easy. This is completely wizard driven. Next, finish. It will ask you questions when you're going through it. If you do, for those of you that are familiar with SysPrep, it will ask you, do you want to join the domain? What's the product key? Do you want to create an administrative account? Do you want to set the screen resolution? It's going to ask you all of those questions. So these machines are really ready to go right when the end user gets to that system. So OS deployment, one of the big things in this product that a lot of customers are using right now. One thing that I think, this is just my humble opinion, but I think the best thing in this product is the patch management. The reason why I think it is because it's completely automated. All you've got to do is go in and create what we call a patch job that basically asks you next, finish types of questions. We're not going to go through this whole thing, but I'll give you an idea of what it looks like. Hey, what do you want your pre-installation to look like? Do you need to show your end users a window that says we're about to install patches, or do you not need to do that? How do you want the install to go? Well, obviously, you probably want it in quiet mode. You don't want an installer popping up on their machine. And then finally, how do you want to do reboots? You know, this is the biggest pain for everybody is how do we handle reboots? Do I not want to do reboots? Or do I want to reboot after the deployment? Or do I want to reboot after the end user logs off? Or do I want to have a countdown timer that allows the end user to snooze the deployment so it doesn't happen right then? All of those types of things. What kind of patches do I want to deploy? You know, we can go in here and say specify from certain vendors what patches I want to deploy, or do I just want to have it scan the entire list because it's only going to deploy what it detects? What do I want to do there? And then what's my patch schedule like? So you even set your own schedule. Hey, if I want to do it after hours, let's use Wake on LAN to wake the devices up. Do we have a daily, weekly, or monthly patch window? What's my patch window? Or maybe you don't have one, and hey, now's a good time to start having or implementing a patch window. So I specify the days. I can say allow the files to be downloaded prior to start time. This is something we get asked about all the time from customers is, hey, my end users take their machines home at night. Well, that's okay. If the patches have already been downloaded at 8 o'clock, which my start time is, when they're home, it's going to install those patches because it's already downloaded them. And I could have a definite stop time, or I could just say, you know what, just keep going until the patches are installed. And once again, because you can create multiple patch jobs, I can assign multiple groups. So I can assign different groups to different patch jobs. So I could have a whole bunch of different patch jobs, you know, that are specific. Maybe some are specific to servers. Maybe some are specific to home users, or you know, your lab environments. You can customize it to each one of those environments, and then it shows you your information up here. But the important thing is what it does is it shows us this history tab that says how many patches have I installed, how many are pending, how many are critical pending, how many have failed, if any have failed, and how many devices are within this job, and then how am I trending? Obviously, we want to be trending downwards. And then we've got some pre-built out-of-the-box reports, so we'll say, show me a patch job history by day. So we'll show you what percentage you are at by day for deployment. You can see a patch job detail by patch. So, hey, we need to know where MS 04-26 was installed. All right, no problem. We can pull that patch up, or that report up to show you. And then patch job details by device. So, hey, what patches were installed on this device recently? No problem. We can pull that up as well and view those things. So one final thing for those of you that are Remedy Force users or our asset or service core users. So what I mentioned before is we go out, and when we do our discovery, we map your environment. So what we do is we say, hey, how is everything connected in my particular environment? So we map everything to the switch, to the device, clear back. So when you want to use your CMDB in Remedy Force or in FootPrints, hey, this information just goes straight over. So when I'm creating a change on this particular switch right here, look at all these people that are going to be, look at all these things that are going to be impacted. You're going to know that because of that information that gets pulled over into the service core or into the Remedy Force system. And then, well, we've been shown everything on the macro level, and then at the micro, you can right-click on a machine. You could remote control the machine. We have direct access tools, which is kind of nice, where you could go view the services, view the registry, view the file system without actually remote controlling the machine. Or you can see the individual inventory of any device, all the hardware, all the software. We actually break the software out, what's in the MSI database, what's in add remove programs. We break all of that out. What's the host ID? So, that's basically what's the service tag on the machine. We pull all of that information out of the BIOS. So you get a good idea of exactly what's running on that machine. I know we're up against it, so just I want to kind of show you this really quickly in action for those of you that use the FootPrints Service Core product. I'll just show you this as an example because we're getting to the end of our time. But I want to show you how these two products integrate with each other. I may have to log out because I've been signed in for a long time, and it didn't time me out. So let me show you this just really quickly. So if I go in and create a new incident, and my great user, Bob Seager, those of you that are familiar with his music, I use him as my user in the demo. But what it does is it goes out to the other product, to the asset product, and says, well, what device is Bob calling in about? Because these are all three owned by him. Well, he's calling about this particular device. So we can select that asset and associate it with this incident. So I can go over here and it will show me some basic information. But this is for a first-level technician that's taking calls. Maybe they're calling in about about a particular piece of software that maybe you guys have just recently upgraded. We can go in and look at the inventory from here of that machine to say, hey, we just upgraded this piece of software. Maybe he doesn't have the latest version on that particular machine. So he can pull up the inventory, go under the software tree, scroll through the same list that they would be seeing in the other product, but hey, maybe first-level technicians don't have access to that and be able to say, all right, oh yeah, they've got that version. We need to upgrade that version.